Let's talk about something we've all experienced, but few people understand how to navigate. That's energy vampires. And no, I'm not talking about bad people. I'm not talking about narcissists. I'm not talking about cutting people out of your life or spiritually bypassing your relationships. I'm talking about those moments when you walk away from an interaction and think, why do I feel exhausted? Why am I suddenly irritated? Or why did I just say yes to something I didn't want to do? Why do I feel like I need a nap or a glass of wine or a whole new life? And during the holidays, they're everywhere. Family members with expectations that you never actually agreed to, parents who guilt, kids who need, coworkers who dump, friends who spiral, people who collapse so you have to carry them, people who attack you so you have to defend yourself, people who take so you have to recover. And here's the truth most people get wrong: energy vampires are not bad people, they are dysregulated people. And here's the part that changes everything: they are not stealing your energy, you are leaking it. So today, I'm going to show you what, what energy vampires actually are, why certain people drain you and others don't, how Field and Form explains energy leaks, the three most common types of energy vampires, especially during the holidays, how to stay aligned without hardening, and how to leave interactions with your energy intact and your heart wide open. Let's begin. Welcome to the Aligned Human Project podcast, where consciousness meets creation and hustle gives way to harmony. I'm Dawn Elgin, contrarian soul guide, spiritual CEO, and founder of Practical Spiritualism. This is a space where we explore what it truly means to be human, aligned, awakened, and in flow with the field of life itself. Together, we'll bridge science and spirit, energy and embodiment, purpose and prosperity, so you can remember who you are beneath the programming and reclaim the power to create in full alignment with your soul. Because the next evolution of humanity isn't out there, it's in here. This is the Aligned Human Project. Now, before we start, this episode is brought to you by Align Your Life, my 12-month journey where we embody the laws of co-creation, 1 month at a time, not as concepts, but as lived practices in life, relationships, healing, health, and business. If you're ready to stop leaking energy and start living aligned, this is where it happens. Details are in the show notes. Welcome back. Before we go deeper, I want to ground something important. This episode is not about blaming others. It's not about labeling people. It's not about protecting yourself from the world. It is about becoming coherent in your own field. Because here's the reframe that changes everything. Energy vampires don't reveal who they are. They reveal where you are leaving yourself, where you override your body, where you collapse your boundaries, where you take responsibility for emotions that are not yours, where you slip into fixing, rescuing, or caretaking in order to feel safe. That is not a character flaw. It's conditioning. Let's make this real. Most people think energy vampires take energy, but energetically and biologically, that's not what's happening. It can't. So picture the holiday phone call. You're on the phone with a family member, and they start talking about how stressed they are, how overwhelmed they feel, how nothing is working. And before you realize it, your body tightens. Your breath begins to shorten. Your mind starts searching for solutions. You reassure, you offer advice, you soften your voice, you stay longer than you wanted to. And when you hang up, you feel drained. You feel exhausted. That's when most people say, ugh, they're sucking my energy. But here's what's actually happening. Your nervous system left you, and it went to regulate them. You didn't lose energy, you abandoned yourself. And that, not the conversation, is where the drain occurred. When someone is dysregulated, chaotic, needy, demanding, emotionally volatile, their nervous system broadcasts instability. If your system learned early that safety comes from fixing or managing emotions, from keeping the peace, from anticipating reactions, or being needed, your body responds automatically, not by choice, by conditioning. And that response is the leak. Here's what I need you to think about. When we are caught in these habitual loops, in these patterns, and then we get really frustrated with ourselves, we're like, why did I fall into that same old pattern again? I need you to remember that your conscious mind, so when we're in awareness and we're thinking and we're present, processes information at about 40 bits per second. Your subconscious mind, which is your pre-programming, mostly before the age of 8, but it is all of your experiences, all of your memories, all of the things that you've been taught throughout your life, that forms your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is operating about 90 to 95% of the time. And your subconscious mind processes information, and this is scary, at 20 million bits per second. That is a huge difference. And so when we find ourselves caught, remember that that's what's happening. And the moment we become aware of it, that is the sweet spot. That is why I'm going to give you some tools by the end of this that will help you through the entire process. So now let's talk about the 3 different types of energy vampires. First, there is what I call the chaos generator. These people arrive in emotional urgency. They talk fast, they spiral, they catastrophize. It's like you're dealing with Chicken Little, and they bring intensity into the room. When this happens, your body responds by bracing. So the story here would be picture holiday dinner. You walk into a family gathering, and within 5 minutes, someone says, "You will not believe what just happened." Your shoulders tighten, your jaw clenches, you feel pulled into managing the energy. That is not intuition. That's your nervous system trying to stabilize chaos. In the laws of field and form, what's happening at play, this shadow side, is the law of reflection. Chaos meets the fixer. For the law of power, presence collapses under urgency. And for the law of flow, control replaces alignment. Now, the second kind of energy vampire is the emotional black hole. These people don't attack, they collapse. They're overwhelmed, helpless, always struggling. You might even think of them as the victim. And the story here, maybe you have a friend and the friend who needs you. They call, they cry, they vent. So you listen, you hold space, and you give. And after, you feel heavy, foggy, completely depleted. Not because they needed support, but because you crossed from compassion into carrying. Here's the deal. Empathy is healthy and natural when we feel someone else's pain and we hold the space for them. But taking on someone else's emotions is not natural. It might be fairly normal, but it's not natural. And it's a trauma response. And so our job is not to take on someone else's emotions. It's to have compassion for a situation while still giving them the respect to hold their own emotions. So here's what's happening in terms of field and form at play. With the law of dominion, you take responsibility for their emotions. When it comes to the law of devotion, you overserve. And when it comes to the law of oneness, You merge instead of remaining sovereign. Now, the third kind of energy vampire is the boundary tester, holiday classic. So usually it's family, and they push your no, the guilt. They minimize your growth. And the story here sounds like you've changed. Maybe you've heard this. You say you're not available this year, and they reply, wow, you've really changed. And suddenly you're 12 again. That's not weakness. That's an old identity being reactivated. So, how is this playing out in terms of field and form? Well, in the law of becoming, the old self returns. With the law of authorship, choices collapse. And in the law of paradox, love versus truth feels incompatible. Here's why the holidays amplify all of this. Because the holidays themselves don't create energy vampires, they activate family conditioning. And that's even family that's not blood. You don't show up as who you are now, you show up as who you had to be then. An 8-year-old doesn't have sovereignty. This is why your field becomes porous. This is why boundaries feel harder. And this is why exhaustion sets in. It's not because you're failing, but because you're evolving. So, now how do we actually use field and form to close those energy leaks? So, think of it as the shift. You don't need protection, you need coherence. So, let's use the laws now to help us realign. First, the law of becoming. Choose who you are walking in as. The law of power. Presence stabilizes faster than defense. The law of authorship. Every yes or no seals an energy leak. The law of flow. Stop managing reactions, let them. The law of dominion. Emotions are not transferable, or they shouldn't be. The law of alignment. Coherence seals the field. The law of divine intelligence. Guidance reveals the leaks. Now, let's talk about how to stay sovereign with some real life practices. Here is the same situation, different response. So we have the same phone call, same person, but this time you stay in your body, you breathe, and you do not rush to fix. You say, wow, that sounds really hard. And then you pause and you stay present with your breath. You stay present in your body. You end the call early, same relationship, different energetic outcome. So the practices: anchor before you enter, hand on heart, maybe one on your belly, and just say silently, I stay with myself. Don't match energy. Coherence regulates the room. He who's most committed to their energy will win. Use the sacred pause. Pausing is protection. Take one complete conscious breath before you respond. Feel it all the way through your body. And then speak from your values, whether that's peace, respect, integrity, whatever they are. And then exit without justification. Aligned humans do not over-explain. And then there's the energetic reset after. Shake it off and say to yourself, I release what is not mine. That can be a full body shake. That can be brushing it off, whatever's going to work. So let's do a little practice here to seal the field. So go ahead, maybe rub your hands for a moment. Maybe you place them on your heart. Take a nice inhale through the nose. Maybe sigh that exhale out and just whisper to yourself, I return to myself. I seal the field. I honor my energy. I stay aligned with my truth. Take another breath. Feel your system settle. Feel your presence return. Feel your power come back online. Remember, pause. Take the conscious breath. Feel. Be present with your emotions and the sensations in your body. And then align with your values and with who you choose to be. You are not here to fix yourself. You are here to remember yourself. Because when you align with your truth, everything else begins to align with you. If this episode sparked something inside you, hit follow or subscribe and share it with someone walking their own path of awakening. And if you're ready to go deeper, you'll find free resources, programs, and community spaces waiting for you at practicalspiritualismco.com. Remember, alignment isn't a place you reach. It's a practice you live. So keep pausing, keep feeling, keep aligning. You are the field. You shape the form.